Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2016 webinar series, Modern ERP. I'm Ruthie Sloan, Marketing Specialist for Revolution Group, and I will be your host today for our discussion. Just a note, we will have a Q&A session at the end of our webinar today. So feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation. Just type them into your control panel on your screen. We will do our best to answer all of your questions at the end. I'm pleased to welcome Christopher Blackwell with Revolution Group as he looks at inventory management. For those of you who don't know us, Revolution Group is a Central Ohio-based technology solutions provider founded in 1995. Our partnerships with Plex, Salesforce, and Microsoft allow us the expertise and resources necessary to facilitate our customers' growth. We have been extremely successful in helping our customers leverage technology to revolutionize their supply chains and improve their business. Our speaker today is Christopher Blackwell, Senior ERP Consultant and Project Manager at Revolution Group. Christopher is a seasoned consultant with over 14 years of manufacturing experience focused on production planning, inventory, and supply chain management. In his role, he supports system deployments and coordinates implementation strategies for customers across the U.S. It is now my pleasure to introduce Christopher Blackwell.
Thank you, Ruthie, and thank all of you for participating in today's webinar. Today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about inventory, what it is, why it's important to an organization, the complexities involved around managing it, and how an ERP solution provides the tools to better manage this extremely important asset. So what is inventory? As you can see on the screen, inventory is the input and output of the production processes. Organizations carry inventory for a couple of main reasons: to facilitate sales and to facilitate the production process to support sales. So what's all the fuss about? Well, given the magnitude of the investment, inventory management is critical to a company's success. How much is enough? Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. There are usually competing views within an organization related to inventory levels. Finance may prefer to keep inventories of raw materials and finished goods low to conserve cash, while their sales counterparts would prefer to keep inventories higher in order to meet sales objectives. Production and purchasing usually fall somewhere in the middle of this spectrum, whereas production would like to have the inventory available to efficiently run the plant for. Uptime levels remain high, therefore stockouts cannot happen. So they would prefer to keep a higher level of raw material and WIP inventory. Purchasing might be inclined to conserve cash, but may be constrained by purchase agreements, order minimums, and quantity discounts that could potentially impact inventory levels. We know that if you carry too little inventory, you can impact your ability to sell, resulting in lost sales and back orders. It can also lead to inefficient production costs due to increased setups and changeovers. Carry too much, and you might incur high carrying costs related to warehousing space, obsolescence, spoilage, and shrinkage. So what's the right level of inventory? Unfortunately, the answer isn't a simple one. There's no magic formula. What works for one may not work for others. There are too many factors to be considered. The competing views within an organization and other inventory drivers make this a complex task. So let's talk about some of those inventory drivers that impact inventory decisions. Customer demand. How does your firm or organization manage the customer demand? Is it predictable and smooth, seasonal, or unpredictable and lumpy? The way the demand flows in from your customer base is going to impact your inventory levels and your philosophy related to inventory. Another driver might be internal performance measures such as service levels or delivery performance. What have you as an organization decided is your delivery method? Are we going to be 100% on time? Are we going to stock to order? Those decisions made will impact the decisions you make as far as carrying inventory on the finished goods level. Another measure could be your product cost. Have you decided to be a low-cost provider, meaning that your margins don't have any space to absorb any kind of variances that might be incurred by your inventory level? So those are important factors to consider as well. Production considerations. Are you discrete or continuous? Obviously, if you're continuous, you can't shut down machines and you need inventory on hand at all times. Batch versus mass versus job shop. Each one of those approaches require a potentially different inventory model. What's your capacity? What can I make and when can I make it? So when do I need raw materials and things like that? And what do I think about setups? Do I want to set a machine up and let it run, or am I okay with setups due to potential incurring additional setups due to potential stockouts and things like that? Supplier constraints. So from a purchasing standpoint, as a buyer, what do you have to deal with? Lead times, order quantities, order minimums, standard order quantities, and things like that. Additionally, what is your supply bases or your supplier's quality level? And that could impact your inventory if you've got to do 100% inspections, if you have a certain percentage of fallout. That obviously impacts the inventory levels and what you decide to do related to that. And then lastly, there's some financial considerations: cash flow, cost of money, and those carrying costs that we spoke of earlier. So again, many factors make this a complex topic. So how do we address the issue of managing inventory today? Spreadsheets are good, but they require a lot of manual work to maintain and use. Legacy systems have holes and blind spots and are usually not well integrated. Today's modern ERP solutions are tools that many find useful in answering these questions and other questions related to manufacturing. So at an enterprise level, what should you expect from your ERP solution? Integrated business functions from top to bottom, so the plant floor to the management floor, the management suites, should all be integrated. The ability to access and use real-time data. I think it's ultimately important that organizations today are using real-time data to help them make better informed and timely business decisions. Visibility across your enterprise so that everybody's looking at the same data at the same time, and those business decisions are then supported. Easily accessible and easy to use. Obviously, you don't want a system that's hard to use and that is not intuitive. So when you're evaluating an ERP solution, obviously ease of use should be one of those things that you're looking at. Now, if we narrow our focus to just what an ERP solution should do from an inventory management perspective, I've identified 4 key capabilities that I think are critical to an ERP solution. The first one is functional integration. I think, and we mentioned before from an enterprise level, that integration is important. From an ERP, from an inventory management perspective, demand management, how a firm and an organization manages its customer orders and demand, has to be integrated with production planning. How much capacity do I have? When can I perform the task? When can I deliver? how efficient can I be, and making those promises to lead times and delivery times. It also has to integrate with the supply chain so that your purchasing folks are responding to real-time data and are communicating with the supply chain real, defensible numbers and requirements that are required. So an active, accurate MRP solution is critical, along with some way to communicate with your suppliers via a portal or supplier EDI, and we'll hit on that a little bit later as well. And then lastly, customer shipping. So I've taken the order, I've made it, I've purchased all the materials, I've produced it, and now I want to ship it. And so from a customer service standpoint, I need to understand, where my orders are, when they shipped, where they shipped, and an ERP solution should create all of the appropriate documentation, bill of lading, shippers, certificates of compliance, all those kind of documents that are required in today's shipping environment. Those should be created in your from your ERP system. Another key factor that I consider important is the real-time communication. So what good is a system if the modules don't talk to each other, and what good is the system if you can't communicate that information to your customers and your suppliers? I think that it's critical that an ERP solution has some kind of embedded functionality that fosters this ability to communicate quickly and accurately. So EDI, system portals, automated emails are important. Serialized inventory. I think this is the backbone of a good inventory management system. Serialized inventory allows for traceability, forwards and backwards. And it also allows you the ability to respond quickly to quality concerns and potential product recall events. Serialized inventory also improves your inventory accuracy. You know what you have, you know how much you have, and you know where it is at all times. Lastly, I think an ERP system should allow for real-time consumption. So, to me, that implies that inventory depletions, consumption is happening as soon as production is recorded. Again, real time. And it's tied to an active, valid bill of material. So those inventory levels are depleted properly. Secondly, it should result in the creation and tracking of WIP. I don't know how many clients I've been in where everybody knows what they bought and everybody knows what the finished good inventory is at the end of the month, but getting to that what's in the middle, that WIP, work in process inventory, is such a hassle. So an ERP system should create WIP and be able to track it and value it. Another important factor is time of incident scrap reporting. So if you create scrap as part of your production process, do we just throw it in a bin and account for it once a week and things like that? I see that all the time where that delayed accounting for the scrap is in place, and that wreaks havoc on your inventory accuracy. So there has to be some ability to record scrap and deplete the inventory when it happens. And then lastly, the ability to correct errors. So we all know that we can make errors. We meant to produce 10, but we produced 100 accidentally. So there has to be some ability to get in there, easily correct those production errors and inventory records and things like that that are associated with that. So those are the four key things that I think, key criteria that I think are important in a modern ERP solution. And so once you have all those, so what's the big deal? We would hope that you would seek some or realize some benefit from the implementation of an ERP system, both operational and financial. So imagine that you could be at your desk or on vacation, and you could have this dashboard pop up anytime you want to and have access to real-time data, all the critical information you need to make quick and accurate decisions. And the key to this is real-time data, one version of the truth. I don't have to go out and search somebody's database or personal PC to get numbers and data. Everything is housed in the ERP system. It's real-time, up-to-date, one version. I think that's critical. So we've talked about at a very high level the general principles and ideas. Now let's talk about a specific Revolution Group client that implemented Plex Manufacturing Cloud, and I'll discuss the benefits that they continue to derive from it today. So we have a large client here in Ohio, a large automotive parts manufacturer. As you can see here, 3 plants, 1,000+ employees, stamping, welding and assembly, and a Japanese transplant. So you can imagine who their big customers are, right? And the criteria that is required for them to remain a supplier. This company was, prior to Plex, was doing things almost all manual. So they did a batch inventory system, so on a daily basis, the production supervisors had to enter data into their system to deplete and relieve inventory at the end of the shifts and things like that. Production scheduling was a problem because inventory levels were inaccurate. And so the production supervisors spent a lot of their time, an inordinate amount of time, massaging the schedule, seeing what can run, what inventory I have available, things like that. Also, as a part of that, they performed cycle counts on a daily basis to ensure or to confirm their inventory levels, which took a lot of time, a lot of resources. As you can imagine, inventory shortages and things like that resulted in a lot of downtime. So if I'm out of inventory, I've got to shut my machine down until the inventory comes in, until it can be located, things like that. Well, all of those problems obviously then result in shipping delays, which, as you know, in today's environment, those are unacceptable. Additionally, their purchasing department used spreadsheets to manage the ordering process. Now, they bought some things from Japan, but they had some local suppliers, but everything was done on spreadsheets, and they were very hesitant to adopt and utilize a new automated MRP system. But we got involved, we came in, we implemented Plex with them, and here are some of the results. So from an operational standpoint, you can see they all had access to real-time data, the things we've been talking about earlier, but they eliminated a lot of their manual processes. Didn't have to do as much cycle counting, and more importantly, all of this activity resulted in a 98% inventory accuracy rate. So that was head and shoulders above where they were, right? All of that resulted in machines being able to run, inventory being able to being available. So downtime was reduced dramatically. And if you see the small graph there, it went from 300 hours to 10 hours per month of downtime, and that's incredible. So that results in fewer changeovers. And additionally, here what happened is that all the cycle counting, and they were able to reduce some head count in that area and in the purchasing area, and they were able to reallocate that head count and that manpower elsewhere within the organization. From a financial aspect, as this graph shows, their inventory value decreased about 47%, from $17 million a month, or $17 million to $9 million. So that's an incredible result, freeing up cash, opportunity costs, and things like that. So this client couldn't be happier with what's happening with their implementation of Plex. and the way that their materials group has started to and adopted Plex, and the results that have resulted. So I think, as you can see there, that's a big success story, and we have plenty of those success stories that we could share. If you're interested, we could talk offline, and we could talk about product recall timing and things like that. So I'd be happy to take any questions or entertain any conversations after the webinar. So unless there's any other questions, I'll turn this back over to Ruthie.
Thank you, Chris. We will wait just a few seconds here to see if any questions come in. Doesn't look like we have any questions right now. Thank you, Chris, so much for presenting today. As Chris said, if you would like to talk with us further about ERP and how it can benefit your organization, don't hesitate to call us. Our contact information is there on the screen. Thank you for being here for our webinar, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you.